As a woman in my 40s, I found that adopting a minimalist mindset and a lifestyle has become even more important to me. And to be honest, I didn't realise how important it would be until I started going through the changes that women in their 40s tend to go through, if not even earlier. So in this video, I wanted to talk through a few ways that minimalism really is transforming my life as I go through this next phase of my life as a woman and learning to navigate all the different changes that are happening. So the first way that minimalism is transforming my life is through acceptance. I'm learning to be more accepting of how my body is changing, how I'm changing in how I look, and being grateful for what my body can do at this stage of my life. And it is hard because we live in a very youth-focused society, I feel. There's a lot of emphasis, and I do feel it's more on women to stay more youthful, even though aging is a natural process. I guess we can try and reduce the appearance of that aging through cosmetic procedures and what have you, but I wonder if there would be so much of that if the expectation from society at large wasn't that we try to remain as youthful looking for as long as possible. And for me, I'm trying to accept that feeling a bit uncomfortable about the aging process, that's not a problem. We feel however we feel about it. Some people might fully embrace it doesn't bother them at all. Other people might really struggle with it. The main thing for me is what we do about it. We can look at things to see if we can improve our quality of life in any way, and in a way that matters to us, that's individualized to us. But I feel acceptance is the bedrock of all of this, really, because if we're doing these things from a place of anxiety or kind of self-hate, we might not be doing those things for the right reasons. We might do things that end up being really unhealthy, maybe like overly restricting our dietary intake or over-exercising. Whilst I do think ideally there needs to be a culture shift in terms of aging and how we view older people, I don't think that's going to come overnight. I think it's important not to get wrapped up in trying to change what society thinks, because that's too big a thing to do very quickly. But I think what we can do is make the changes from within in our own mindset about it. So the second way that minimalism is helping me is appreciating what my body is able to do as I get older. I do try and keep active. I weight train 4 times a week. And I mean, actually, I will say I am healthier from a dietary and an exercise perspective than I was in my 20s. In my 20s, I ate takeout food a lot of the time. I didn't do any exercise, but certainly since probably my sort of early 30s, I started viewing exercise much more positively, paying more attention to what I put into my body. It's not to say I don't eat processed food sometimes. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but paying attention to the food I put in my body, it helps me to feel good knowing that I'm nourishing my body in healthy ways. And ironically, I didn't realise with the weight training how important that would be for me later in my life, especially now that I'm of a certain age where changes are happening. There's something about that movement, that exercise, it helps me to keep grounded and connected with my body. And I can't explain why that feels more important now as I get older, but it just does. Often I hear women talk about feeling quite out of control of what their body's doing and all those changes that are happening. So I think doing things which help us reconnect with our body, that can only be a good thing in my opinion. The next way that minimalism has helped me is through awareness. Minimalist philosophy really helps me to remain aware of the ever-changing nature of things and the finite nature of things, whether this be that material possessions wear out over time, relationships come and they go, and that at some point, without being morbid about it, our bodies will wear out and no longer function. And we can go 2 ways about it. We can either think of that as being morbid and, well, what's the point if we're all going to not exist anymore? Or we can use it as a motivator to say, okay, I'm not going to be here forever. What can I do that is going to help me make the most of my life as it is now? How can I look after myself? How can I nurture the relationships that I want to nurture? How can I spend my time in ways that are important and enjoyable to me? Not putting things off for later because you think, well, I'll do that tomorrow, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. So why not start working on them now? Another thing about the finite nature of life is learning when something is worth stressing over and when it's not worth stressing over. I can get worked up about things that really are not worth my time and mental energy. I've got better at being able to step back from those things and go, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, is this thing important? Most of the time, no, it's not. Something that's really helped with that is getting off social media. When I've stepped away from it, when I've spent less time on social media, I found myself to be far far more engaged in my life, in reality, not actually stressing as much about things. And minimalism is really helping me to see things in a different perspective, or not having such a fatalistic mindset about it, but being much more okay. This is how things are. This is where I am. What can I do to make my life as meaningful and fulfilling now that I'm entering this new stage of my life? And I'd love to hear from you too. If you're going through certain changes in your life, whether it is because you're a woman of a certain age or anything else, how has minimalism helped you, or how is it helping you to navigate those changes? I'd really love to hear your experiences. Another way that minimalism has transformed my life is by helping me to quit certain things that were really unhealthy for me. So if you'd like to find out what those things are, then click on the video that's on the screen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.